Hello, everybody. I'm very pleased to provide some remarks at the Policy Roundtable on responding to COVID-19 options and lessons learned as part of the 10th session of the AMIS Rapid Response Forum. In my intervention, I will talk about the World Bank response to COVID-19 induced food insecurity. Let me start by saying that COVID-19 has had and is continuing to have major poverty and acute food insecurity impacts. COVID-19 is expected to push up to 150 million more people into poverty globally. And by doing so, it is reversing and continuing downward trend that started 20 years ago. COVID-19 pushed an additional 123 million people into acute food insecurity in 2020. Most of them, 99 million, in the world's poorest countries, and a significant share of them, 55 million, in fragile and conflict-affected situations. Since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, the bank's multi-sectoral COVID-19 food security team has provided 36 food security updates to bank senior management. These updates show that rising food insecurity is driven by a combination of demand and supply factors, each of them playing out differently in different countries. On the demand side, people's affordability to buy food has been affected by income losses and remittances declines. This reduction in affordability has also affected the quality of people's diets, thereby also increasing nutrition insecurity. On the supply side, disruptions to supply chains have reduced local food availability, causing local food prices to increase in many countries. The good news is that global food markets have remained well supplied, as exporting countries have refrained from imposing the type of trade restrictions that we saw during the global food price crisis in 2007 and 2008. Also, in a number of countries, weather extremes and locust outbreaks have exacerbated the food insecurity impacts caused by COVID-19. In response to rising food insecurity, the World Bank has followed a two-pronged approach. As part of the first leg of this approach, we have put in place immediate measures to ensure food access and food affordability. For this purpose, we provided 4.8 billion in IDA financing covering the world's poorest countries, as well as $2.8 billion in IBRD financing for the world's middle income countries. Also, 11 countries were triggered or are in the process of being triggered for early response financing under IDA's crisis response window. We also put in place a dedicated emergency locust response program to the tune of $450 million. This puts the total of our immediate response financing that we provided between April and December 2020 at over $8.5 billion. As part of the second leg of this approach, the bank has continued and is stepping up its support for addressing the medium and long-term drivers of food insecurity, covering 1, health, climate resilience, economic opportunities, and reducing conflict risks. The bank provided $5.8 billion in financing for this between April and December 2020. With a significant proportion of the IDA $1985 billion resource envelope for the 2020-2023 envelope having been front-loaded in 2020, a decision was made in February 21 to advance IDA 20 by 1 year, so as to ensure sufficient resources for long-term development objectives. Rising food insecurity and the bank's increased support to needed response measures has been one of the motivations to advance IDA 20. Clearly, COVID-19 is pushing achievement of SDGs 1 and 2 by 2030 under great pressure and is causing significant concerns. It is also clear at the World Bank IMF Spring Meetings last week, where we had an event on financing SDG 2, addressing hunger and malnutrition in the wake of COVID-19, with participation of ministers of finance from Africa, Asia, South America, North America, and Europe. The ministers of finance provided a number of important messages that we are taking into account moving forward. These include the following. First, a clear recognition to keep a clear line of sight on the longer-term food systems transformation agenda while responding to immediate food and nutrition security. Second, food and nutrition security is a high priority and clearly on the radar screen of senior policymakers, along with the notion that the expansive breadth and depth of this agenda requires multi-sectoral approaches and partnerships that bring together agriculture and food, health and nutrition, and social protection, while ensuring special attention to gender aspects. Third, There's growing interest and commitment to engage on repurposing public support to agriculture and food, which amounts to $700 billion per year for better nutrition and climate and environmental outcomes. Fourth, increased private sector finance for agriculture and food is considered critical. There are lots of opportunities, as well as the need to explore more systematic opportunities for contingency financing in agriculture, food and nutrition. And fifth, there were explicit demands from the ministers to ensure that food and nutrition security, including improved early warning systems and better preparedness to shocks, is reflected as a priority in IDA 20. As AMIS is approaching its 10-year anniversary, it is clear that it continues to play a very critical role in enhancing food market transparency by sharing and disseminating information as broadly and openly as possible, as well as by promoting dialogue to avoid misguided policy decisions that negatively impact the functioning of global markets. And what we see during the COVID-19 crisis is that the global grain prices so far have avoided the peaks of 2008 and 2011-13, as markets today continue to be better supplied. AMIS definitely can claim its fair share of credit for this achievement. And it clearly shows that in view of what we have experienced over the last year, platforms for coordination among countries, such as provided by AMIS, are exactly what is needed. In view of this, the World Bank congratulates AMIS on its 10-year anniversary this year, and we are looking forward to continue to be a constructive part of it moving forward. Thank you very much.